Which brings me to the other lawsuit, the one that was filed back in September by Jim Trotter, former employee of NFL Media, against the league. The basic argument is Jim Trotter was agitating internally and through two commissioner press conferences where Trotter specifically asked the commissioner questions about his concerns in a public setting externally. This idea that Trotter was trying to enhance diversity and inclusion in the newsroom. His argument is we cover a league where 70% of the players are Black. There needs to be greater representation or any representation of the Black athlete in the newsroom. His perspective, how to understand the cultural realities as players are covered. And Trotter said basically there's no supervisors, no managers who are Black in the NFL media newsroom, and there's an underrepresentation in the newsroom itself. And that's what he was trying to improve it. He saw a problem in the workplace and he was trying to improve it by raising the concerns. And see, a lot of people react to that by saying, well, he's just a troublemaker, get rid of him. But that's not how it works. There are certain things where the law encourages people to be a troublemaker. The law, the legal system doesn't have the resources to go around and right every wrong that's happening in corporate America. So, there are certain types of lawsuits out there that you can file where, along with whatever you recover in court as compensation for whatever you went through, you also get an award of attorney's fees, because the law realizes there are certain situations where you want to empower private attorneys to basically act as attorneys general who prosecute things that shouldn't be happening, that the government doesn't have the time or the resources to pursue. And claims of this nature, violations of the Civil Rights Act, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act from the 60s, other state-level Human Rights Act claims, they have what's called a fee-shifting provision where you have that extra incentive. The government wants people who believe that the law is being violated in these areas to do something about it. So this is something the law encourages, number one, someone to complain about, and number two, if they suffer what the law calls adverse employment action, in this case, Trotter's contract expires and it's not renewed, and they're saying, well, it was budgetary, he should have the right to take it to court and test those theories, test those facts, and try to prove that they're just saying it was budgetary as a pretext for basically wanting to get rid of a troublemaker. I hope that makes some sense. But the bottom line is, he's a troublemaker making good trouble, making trouble that the law wants him to make. And if he's retaliated against for making good trouble in the workplace, he has an opening into court. So he files his lawsuit. The NFL's frontline position, and we know they're eventually going to say when push comes to shove, it has nothing to do with Jim Trotter, it's just budgetary. Good luck proving that. That's something that'll play out in time. For now, see what they try to do, and this is part of the playbook when you get sued as a major corporation or anybody who gets sued. The first thing you try to do is come up with a way to knock it out. Motion to dismiss. That's what the NFL plans to do. And their argument is basically, if everything he's saying is true, the law allows us to do what we did. And that's a delicate argument to make from a PR standpoint. We wrote about this the other day. Trotter's lawyers call this argument by the NFL morally abhorrent. Basically, it's saying, yeah, we did it, but we're allowed to do it. Yeah, okay, he was complaining about lack of inclusion and diversity in the newsroom, but nothing keeps us from not keeping him as an employee. The law doesn't require us to not consider that. We're allowed to say, we don't want this troublemaker who's trying to shine a light on issues of diversity and inclusion. And even if they're right legally, and I don't think they are, that is a delicate and difficult argument to make. For example, before Title VII of the Civil Rights Act was interpreted to extend to sexual orientation, some employers wouldn't argue in court that there's no protection for sexual orientation, because the implication is we think we have the right to hire and fire people based on sexual orientation. And damn it, we're going to do it if we want to. It can make you look very bad. It can make you look uncaring. It can make you look unfeeling. It can make you look like you are not a good person if you think that the law allows you to do something that maybe morally you shouldn't do. Well, the law allows me to fire someone based on sexual orientation, so I did it. The law allows me to do it. The law doesn't say I can't do it. See, there were employers who wouldn't make that argument before the law evolved to the point where sexual orientation is protected under Title VII. As it relates to Trotter, this argument that the NFL is allowed to fire him because it didn't like the fact that he was agitating for greater representation in the newsroom, that he took it public by questioning the commissioner twice. We're allowed to do it. I hope the folks who cover the NFL, the folks who cover sports media, understand that implication. The NFL is basically saying, we're allowed to do it, and we did it, and we'll do it again. Yes, we're allowed to do it. Don't you be a troublemaker on these issues, because we're allowed under the law. We believe we're allowed under the law to use that against you. It's a tough argument. It's a tough argument. And it doesn't mesh with all the messaging that we've gotten from the NFL over the past few years about their issues, their positions, their attitude toward matters of race. And, at some point, that trail of breadcrumbs is going to lead to the players who are going to realize maybe they've been sold a bill of goods here, and maybe the league doesn't really care the way it claims it cares with the messages on the helmets and the messages at the back of the end zone, that's just lip service. When push comes to shove and you've got someone who believes he was fired, his contract wasn't renewed when he wanted it to be, because he agitated in favor of positive change as it relates to diversity and inclusion in the NFL media workplace. If the NFL's position is, the law allows us to do it, so we did it. I hope that people understand what the NFL is really saying here, and I hope that people will react accordingly. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.